What's up, everybody? Welcome to the POVincent podcast here on the River's Edge Online Radio Network. I'm your host, Vincent Didiano, giving you my point of view on movies. And with me, of course, is my friend and co-host of Film Fatale, Jay.
Hello.
Well, Jay, last week we started our first entry into the Hunger Games franchise.
Yeah.
Which I still think it's probably I think we discussed this last time too, but I think the most successful of the YA dystopian adventure.
Oh, for sure.
Stuff. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And obviously the studio had a lot of faith in this film.
Yeah.
Because the sequel came out just a year later, which
there was a lot of work and ethic put into that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, because we discussed last time how it was weird how they allowed this to go past the 2-hour mark. And
yeah.
And I forgot, once again, that the sequel's only a year apart. So this is something the studio was definitely invested in.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, it shows just, the production quality alone. But Jay, before we continue, give the people the trivia download.
Okay, so Hunger Games Catching Fire is the official title of the second Hunger Games movie. It did come out in 2013. I think November. This movie did have like a Thanksgiving time release. So that's, definitely a thing that happened. So this one is again produced by Nina Jacobson and John Killick, the two who produced the first film, but it's directed by Francis Lawrence. I don't think he is related to the actress in the film. I think that's just happenstance. And the screenplay this time was written by Simon Beaufoy and Mike DeBrune. So the author, Suzanne Collins, was actually not involved in the writing process for this one, but it does still stick to a lot of the book. So they did a really good job. It once again stars Jennifer Lawrence. We actually have a lot of people coming back to this film. There's a huge cast once again. So Jennifer Lawrence definitely comes back as Katniss Everdeen. Josh Hutcherson comes back as Peeta. Liam Hemsworth is Gale. We have Jenna Malone who comes in, and she plays Johanna Malone, which I think is really funny that's her character's name. It's very similar to her actual name. Sam Claflin plays Finnick Odair. And then, like I said, we have a lot of familiar faces. Elizabeth Banks is back as Effie. Woody Harrelson is back as Haymitch. Donald Sutherland is the president again. You have Philip Seymour Hoffman is a new face in this film, and he plays Plutarch Heavensby, who is like the new head of games.
The game master. Yeah,
the game master. So he is a new face. But then, Lenny Kravitz is back. Stanley Tucci is back. So a lot of familiar faces with like a handful of new faces in this one.
Yeah. And one of those new faces, Jeffrey Wright, is going to be the new Commissioner Gordon in the upcoming The Batman film with Robert Pattinson. Though he's not going to be the Batman next year, because I'm pretty sure we've mentioned this before, but we're going to have multiple live-action Batman next year. So he's not the Batman, he's more of a Batman because, well, AT&T...
There's multiple Batmans.
Yeah, because AT&T is so worried about HBO Max doing well that they're going to give Ben Affleck his own series, which I would be down for if it wasn't for the fact that I feel like that's kind of like kicking Robert Pattinson in the bat dick. But but whatever. There's another one of Vincent getting off track rants, but yeah, that's a discussion for another time. Anyway. Anywho. But yeah, no, they've gotten good actors for both these films. We discussed it in the first.
Yeah, the acting is very good in both films.
Yeah, great casting, just quality actors all around. Good variety too. You got a lot of good people here. Once again, the studio was not holding back with this one.
No, not at all.
They invested a lot.
They really did. You can tell.
I wish they did that for all movies, but I guess.
Yeah, you wish. We all wish.
Yeah. Oh, man. But anyway, now the basic plot of the sequel, Catching Fire, is that Katniss and Peeta are now on a victor store, which means they go around to all the districts and give speeches, and they're just having trouble readjusting back to normal life because normal life is not normal anymore because they have duties now as victors.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, President So, played by Donald Sutherland, does not like at all their little act of defiance at the end of the Hunger Games, because
especially Katniss specifically. Like
yes.
he picks her out specifically and has a really big issue with her because she's one that has become this symbol of a growing underground movement that you slowly find out about throughout the film. Pieces of information of rebellion coming from different districts, including like a very bold act of rebellion by Katniss and Peeta while they're trying to navigate their new positions.
I didn't
they fuck some shit up in District 12.
Yeah, because even though Katniss is not the, with something we'll get into more as we go into this series, because I think it's more of a thing in the next film. But Katniss is not always proactive. She's very reactionary sometimes, which we'll get into a little bit more in the next film. But anyway, so that's going on, and because President Snow's like, nah, that's not how it's supposed to work, they come up with a new plan where the 75th Hunger Games, the new Hunger Games coming up, it's the quarter quell. And every time they do a quarter quell, something got to be special. And this one is the victors will be chosen
past tributes.
Other victors from each district.
It's a plot to get rid of some problematic survivors.
which is in each. Thankfully, each district has at least 2 living victors. It would have been
but the catch is that Katniss is the only living female from District 12, therefore she's forced to partake.
And a few of the
other
President
knows this is done on purpose.
Oh yeah, totally. And even if she wasn't, even if there was some other woman, her name was, I don't know, Betty. I don't know if we got Betty.
They're not sending Betty. They're sending Katniss.
All the notes they take out of the bowl, they all would have been said Katniss. If one said Betty, it would have been like Betty, but say Katniss. There's no way. Katniss was getting
Betty, but don't say Betty. We don't. It's not actually Betty.
Let's get into one interesting thing about this film that's really explored in the beginning, and we see it's mostly in the first half of the film, and we don't get to see much in the second half because, once the games get underway, it's
a lot of action.
Action is. This movie does acknowledge that these people have PTSD. Katniss has.
I think it does a really, really good job. And it's been hinted in Haymitch's character and the way that he talks to Katniss and Peeta throughout the first film. I think it's very much hinted that this is a man who is scarred from whatever he experienced in the Hunger Games. And I'm happy that they continue that on with Katniss and Peeta and show her waking up from nightmares several times. And Peeta admits that he also has nightmares. And the opening scene where she's hunting with Gale and she has a panic attack because she hallucinates.
She hallucinates that she shoots Marvel again with her bow and arrow. Marvel.
He sees it again.
Once again played. Once again, we mentioned this last time. Played by Jack Quaid, who plays Huey on The Boys. So literally, they had this guy come back just to shoot one scene of him getting shot in the chest, and they're like, "Okay, good work, Jack. Go home now." Unless they just digitally took out
they might have, but if
from
they
the first
did,
movie,
it's one of those movies that did a very good job with the digital work. So it's hard to tell.
Very hard to tell.
I think that's a really good development, especially going into this film. This film deals with a lot of. It's a lot heavier. I think it deals with a lot more. I think you're shown glimpses of a lot more going on in this dystopian existence that these people live. So it's a lot to take in. And I think that the film, the writers and the way that it's shot, it does a really good job of really showing you what's going on. Especially, the first half of the film when Peeta and Katniss are on that tour, and slowly you see people in the crowd just giving little giving this little rebellious symbol that becomes so much more, and the symbol of the Mockingjay that grows, which builds into that really beautiful moment right before the games start with the dress that Cinna makes Katniss for that, like her wedding dress that changes, which they did a really like that. I feel like that's all digital, and they did a really good job with that too.
Oh yeah, it looks good.
It looked really good. Admittedly,
when the wings come out, it's just like,
yeah.
Like, I forgot about that part. I remember like her spinning around in the fire, like
they're like, show us your dress, and it just turns into this Mockingjay, and it's this symbol. And like Peeta makes one last ditch effort to try to save Katniss, and it's just like, I'm just worried about the baby. Like pretends that she's pregnant with his kid, because they've had to like continue this charade of being together because Snow threatens basically their families. I don't think he outright threatens Peeta's family, but he does outright threaten Katniss's family right to her face.
Yeah, he does. And the weird thing about Peeta's family, like, we know from the first film, and we see her, like, I don't know what, like, it's weird. We know he had a mother from the first film. We know he has a mother, right? And in this film, when he finds out that Snow went to Katniss and told her, like, hey, make me believe you two are in love, because if I believe it, the people will believe it, and then we won't have a rebellion on our hands. And when he finds out that Katniss didn't tell him, he gets pissed. He's like, I have people to protect too. But then later in the film, he says, you're the only person I have. I'm like, wait, what happened to your mom? I feel like something was omitted.
Did his mom die in the...
I don't know. Like, I feel like this is one of those... It was covered in the book, and there's a deleted scene.
Yeah, there's definitely a few things that were in the book that are taken out, but overall, like, it does a really good job of like the scene where Katniss has the nightmare and Peeta goes in to comfort her. Like, that's obviously longer in the book. That's just like kind of skimmed over in the movie.
Yeah.
Because they have a lot to cover. So like, it's okay that they did that, and they did. You know, they showed the main point of that scene, which is to show that they both experienced these nightmares, and the nightmares are a bonding experience, because truly there's no one else who knows what they've gone through but the other person. Yeah. Because they went through it together. So like, obviously there's some trauma bonding going on.
And through that trauma bonding, they do develop romantic feelings. Well, I mean, Peeta already had romantic feelings for her.
Yeah, Peeta already had romantic feelings, which, again, from last week's video, we know how I feel about this. But I will say, like, I really just don't understand that, like, you're fighting for the death to the death and you're falling in love. But I will say that this film did do a really good job of building both sides of her lives, because she really does have two lives now. Like, if she had never gone to the Hunger Games, she probably would have ended up with Gale. Like, you know, in an imaginary world where she didn't go to the Hunger Games, I genuinely feel like her and Gale would have just gradually, like, that would have just been a thing. Yeah. But that's not the reality that they live in, and now she obviously has this bond with Peeta, and that's obviously going to cause different emotions.
Totally, yeah.
So even though it's kind of weird to me, again, they do a good job of building that up. So it's far more believable in this film, I think, than the last film. I'll give it that. Like, all of it is far more believable.
Well, yeah, because I mean, you got Katniss and Peeta. They've been through something that unless you yourself have been through it, you can't understand.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why they grow closer initially. Just initially before Peeta eventually gets her to open up a bit and all that stuff, and then you have Gale, and he's being a jealous little bitch because he's like
he really is.
Because at first Katniss is just putting on this romantic thing, like being playful with Peeta and kissing him for the camera, and falling over, and Gale's like, he says, let me go ask your boyfriend or something.
Yeah, your fiance. And like, oh, what? We're gonna run away, you, me, and your fiance? And she's just like, dude, what the fuck? Like, bro,
what do you think is going on right now? And like, I'm really like, I know they're setting Gale up for other stuff down the road. Like,
it's one of those examples of like a self-fulfilling. Like, all of the characters just create this self-fulfilling prophecy about the situation where he's just like, well, that's your boyfriend now, and eventually she's just okay, like, like I guess so. I guess.
This is why you're the second favorite Hemsworth brother, damn it, Liam. You need to... No, I'm just kidding. They get some shit for that, but whatever.
Number one.
Chris. But anyway, yeah, no, I mean, it is a YA novel, teen drama, so you gotta throw in that. Somebody's got to get jealous of somebody at some point.
I know, some of those I remember just reading a lot of YA novels, especially dystopian ones, though, where I'm just like, okay, wait a minute. Why do we have to have a romantic interest during the Holocaust? Like YA novels just did ridiculous shit like this, and it was just like, I don't think that should be the main point of this book. Some of them are just like, why? Again, though, once you get further into the Hunger Games, it does become more believable. These characters do age through the books a little bit, so it is far more believable in this film. I feel like it'll probably be far more believable as we go forward and see what happens between these characters.
Yeah. And speaking of these characters, they've this movie continues. It's like these societal issues, we have parallels and stuff, because as I mentioned before, now that their Hunger Games was, their first Hunger Games is over. They went on their tour, and it's not over. Now that they're victors, they have to be mentors. Yeah. They have to go visit the Capitol every once in a while. They have to put on a show.
Yeah, you're forever stuck in it.
Yeah, you're a celebrity, whether you want to be it or not.
Not only that, but it's also a means to keep you complacent and to keep you in your place, to control these people who have been put through this horrible thing. And there's a lot of acts by the government in this movie that are acts to both keep people complacent and create fear, which fear breeds complacency because people are too afraid to speak out about what is wrong. So there's a really big battle in this movie, and the characters even talk about the concept of hope, and that there is something so different after the last Hunger Games, and it is this idea of hope that this might not have to be forever, and there's some way of overthrowing whatever the government is doing. And this movie does a really good job of making that very clear and showing the struggle, especially showing how different each district was, showing how different the different struggles of each district, and how they're all struggling, and it's very much the Capitol's fault. So yeah, again, heavier themes in this movie. The first film really skims the surface. It gives you an overall picture of what's going on. This film really dives into, deeper into the whole process of everything. The scene where they go to District 11, especially, and they go off book, and then after that they don't, they go off book from their speeches, and it causes essentially a riot.
You see an old man get executed, and
which beautiful camera work for that scene. They don't show, they don't show what happens, but the doors close perfectly so that you don't actually see it, and it's just really good timing and very good cinematography. It builds a lot of suspense. That's a very emotional scene, and it's built very well. I really clearly I enjoyed this film.
Another thing, I don't know, maybe this is just me. You let me know. And this film feels a little more quickly paced than the last one. Not rushed. It definitely wasn't rushed. Where I felt like the last one was really taking its time, especially in that first hour. This one, once again, not rushed, but definitely feels like it's moving a little quicker.
Yeah. And you know what? I agree, but at the same time, this book did have a lot of content, and I think that it's quick, but it's paced well enough that it goes together very well, and it allowed for them to put a lot of information into the movie from the book. Plus there's a lot of different things going on that build into this final conflict of the 75th Hunger Games.
Yeah.
And I feel like, the Hunger Game series tends to have two parts. Part one is this rising conflict that is very much a political, social conflict, and then you have an action conflict that leads up to.
Yeah,
I think that there's a nice pattern there with that.
Oh yeah, you got the build up, the establishment, get to know the characters, develop them, and then we get thrown into hell.
You watch them die. Yeah, and it's movies do a really good job of that. Sometimes they give you a character and they build upon that character so that you're very much invested, and then they just kill that character.
Yeah,
this is definitely a series that does that.
So going into Hunger, I do want to talk about like the other returning victors.
Other tributes. Yeah.
There's one problem I had, and I don't know, maybe it's covered in the book better. Didn't read it. Because there's that part where they realize, okay, they're the greenest victors. All the other victors, the returning victors, like won their Hunger Games several to like possibly decades ago, and they've been victors and mentors. They've been coming back to the Capitol for years now, and they all know each other. They all have established relationships, whether they're good, bad, whatever. And they're coming into this new one, and one of the things that Hamish tells them is like, listen, these guys all know each other. They don't fucking know you. You guys are the outsiders, but you have to create allies. You have to figure out who we can trust to team up with in there, because otherwise everyone's just going to gang up on you two and you're going to be dead within the first hour. And unfortunately, there's no surprise as to who's going to be their allies. Like basically whoever Katniss has a pleasant conversation with within this 1 10-minute span, they're going to be their ally. I really would have loved it more. She had like a conversation with like one, because all the obvious ones are.
The book definitely expands on that a little bit more. On how these allyships work and how they build. But yeah, you're given like 10 minutes of relationship building, and a scene where Katniss shows off her skills and impresses a bunch of people, and then they're just like, shit, I want that bitch on my side.
Yeah. Because I mean, there's like a good number of like these prep, and once again, I understand even with a runtime of almost 2.5 hours, you can't. I mean, you're talking about including Peeta and Kat. I mean, if we take away Peeta and Katniss, that's what, 22 people. There's no way they're going to cover all 22, right?
No.
So I understand there was always going to be some of them where they didn't even bother at all. I mean, one of the previous victors was played by an actor named Daniel Bernhardt, who's a known actor and stuntman in Hollywood. I happened to notice him when they were doing the whole like up in the sky, showing the pictures of the tributes that would fall. I could hear my dad watching the football game downstairs. Sorry, little interruption.
Just started.
I think something bad happened. I don't know.
Oh, probably.
Sorry, little interruption.
No,
but anyway, there's a few of them where they're like, okay, they're obviously like going to be the bad guys. So like really a woman who files her teeth into fangs. But I think that would have been cool if one of them, like, there's 1 or 2 switcheroos where, oh, like this guy seems really sweet, and like turns on him.
And he's an asshole.
Yeah, and this woman, oh, she's gonna freaking rip your face off, and then she turns around and is like, I want to rip the Capitol's face off.
Characters in this film, though, we do have especially one character in particular in this film who does like appear to be one thing and then turns out to be another. So I feel like,
Oh well, yes, that character, yes, but not. They're not a victor. So.
No, they're not a victor, or a tribute. But no, yeah, they do a very good job of just showing who's going to be a friend. It's very clear from the beginning. But they do make a good team.
Oh yeah, no, there is a good dynamic going there. I mean, you already got Peeta and Katniss, who their relationship is growing. You have Finnick, who's like the playboy of the Capitol. Everyone loves him. He's handsome, and he's in good shape, and he's playing the game perfectly in terms of the spotlight game in front of the Capitol. You got the 2 brainy ones who are intelligent. They're a little weird, but they're smart.
Johanna.
Yeah, Johanna's fun just because she's definitely got severely bad PTSD because she's
absolutely.
She's always and this is not me, like, I'm not generalizing PTSD people here, but she's always in a bad mood. It's very evident, as come later in the film, that if she had any friends or family before the games, have either died or she's pushed them out of her life because
isolation. It's a very clear pattern, and it does happen quite often with PTSD, where you put up defense mechanisms that are very standoffish and cold to prevent people from getting to know you, because if people don't know you, you can't attach yourself to them, and there's nothing bad that comes from that sort of situation.
Yeah. So we got. So I do think that there was a nice variety of victors this time. Varying ages, races, backgrounds. Where the last one was just like, not that any of them were bad, but the other tributes they had to fight, they're all just teenagers. It was like they were fighting high school bullies almost, which is fine.
Yeah.
YA novel works fine. That works fine. But now they're fighting literal adults. They're fighting guys who are like 6 foot fuck you with
people who are much older than they are.
Yeah. But they stick to their their skills. Katniss, she's good with the bow. She's a good range fighter. Peeta, he's a young guy, but because he's used to lifting those sacks of flour, he's got his strength. And in this one, we see him use a lot of machete, and he actually seems quite effective with it. Because there comes a point where they go up against like this horde of super baboons, and he's just slash. And you got Finnick.
I know. I really like the super animals in this series. It's just like what mutated animal is going to attack us next?
And speaking of animals, one of the animals are designed to fuck with their brains, with their PTSD, because they got birds that are like parrots or something, and they can just repeat what people say, and somehow they got these birds to copy the voices of their loved ones. And at one point, Katniss thinks Primrose is out in the jungle somewhere, and then Finnick thinks his girlfriend is out there somewhere, and Katniss starts freaking the fuck out, like she's having like a fucking anxiety or panic attack. Yeah, and so it's not just, there's a lot of psychological factor in this game, very targeted psychological factors.
Yeah, the last a lot more in this game than the last game.
Yeah, which is good. It's good to have in a situation like this both physical challenges for them and mental challenges for them to overcome, because it adds new dynamics. They're being tested in like on both fronts, and I like that. Yeah. So I think one thing that also is up in this film is in the last film we only saw so much of President Snow. Most of the time we saw him when he was just talking to Seneca Crane, the former game master.
Mm-hmm. He was very much a background villain in the first film.
Yeah.
Because not the main focus for right now. I feel like a lot of novels do this. Like perfect example is Harry Potter. Voldemort is in one scene in the first Harry Potter book.
Yeah.
It's this big reveal, and I feel like that does kind of build up in the first Hunger Game film as well with the president. That he's clearly the root of the problem. You have a lot of society that is a symptom of the problem, but he is keeping things where they are. And so in this film, you see a lot more of how that works. You see a lot more of how the president is manipulating the people, and how the president is, how he wants the capital to be perceived, the fear tactics that he deploys, entirely wiping out districts, just murdering people. And he is the one that makes these calls.
With Philip Seymour Hoffman's character, the game master, kind of playing as his counsel/advisor in these matters.
Yeah.
Which I forget what the. I'm just probably gonna keep calling him Philip Seymour Hoffman.
His name is Plutarch Heavensby. Plutarch
Heavens.
The Pluto.
What happened to? See, this is why I think, once again, we talked about this before. We're just, wait, is this a dystopian future or is this an alternate reality? I'm going alternate reality here because these names.
Some of the names.
These are like Star Wars names.
But then again, it is
Kylo Ren could pop up.
It is a different country. This doesn't take place in America, so It doesn't need to have like English speaking names, I guess, or proper English names.
True, but I don't think I've ever heard of any of these names. Like, have you ever heard of a Katniss or a Plutarch?
I feel like in 5 years there's going to be a bunch of kids going to preschool named like Katniss and PETA, and I'm not going to be fucking surprised by that.
My name's Katie, but my full name is Katniss Johnson.
Yeah, white people are crazy. And this poor girl named Katniss is just going to be like, please just call me Katie. Like, please don't call me. Please. Like, people are going to walk up to that poor girl and just be like, I volunteer as tribute in the fucking hallways to her. Like,
and the dumb little kids could be like, Mockingjay, more like mocking gay.
Oh my god.
Oh, I'm funny.
Like, I got bullied as a kid. There's so many better literary names to give your kids. Anyway, yeah.
Fuck them.
Some of these fucking names. Yeah. So the new Game Master. It's very peculiar, the first scene when you meet him and he dances with Katniss. Yeah. Almost from the get-go, at first I thought that he had some like weird obsession, it's given off that he just has some weird creepy like obsession with Katniss, and you're just like, is this dude gonna try to seduce her or something? Like, it's just very strange energy.
How bad you want to win the games, Miss Everdeen? No, I'm just
like what? And then as time goes on, you really think that he's a bad guy, and then it's really cool that big reveal about his character, because here he's seemingly giving the president advice, but it's not. He's trying to incite a riot.
He's stoking the fires of rebellion.
He wants to build up, the conditions for these people to fight. And I think to me that slowly became clear, because it just like, as he's talking to the president, I'm just like, this is not good advice. Like, clearly this is going to cause problems. The president's just like, fuck it, I hate these people. Like, President Snow's just very evil.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing.
Any evil suggestion, he's just like, let's do it. Like, let's kill a bunch of people publicly, just wipe them out. Fuck it.
Well, he's definitely playing to Snow's rage and disgust.
Yes.
It's definitely that kind of God complex thing. Like, all these peons, these peasants, these mortals, how dare they rebel against Olympus? And all that kind of stuff. And honestly, if he could just get away with it, he probably would do it anyway. If he didn't have to worry about possible rebellion and riots.
Oh yeah.
He would just send people in and have them video record. Like, can you slit some throats tonight?
Can you just go beat someone up? Like, can you just go find a homeless person and just beat them up?
Yeah.
I just need to see it.
Yeah. But Donald Sutherland plays him well. I mean, Donald Sutherland is a really good actor.
You know what? Everyone in this film does a very good job. All of the characters are very believable. He's a very good villain.
Yeah.
I which is nice, because off the top of my head, anytime I've seen him, I don't think I've seen him be a bad guy.
I mean, I've seen him play a lot of characters, but I don't think he does villains very
often.
Very often.
But he does them well. And that's important. Like, you don't have to, I think I'm more impressed when an actor does not play. See, like recently, Adam Sandler has been in some more serious films, and to be quite honest, I'm more impressed with his serious work than any of the comedies he's made for Netflix lately. And I'm also not surprised that he's a decent actor in serious work. Donald Sutherland definitely does a really good job with this very clearly evil character, even though you might not often see him in the villain role.
Yeah, no, he is definitely a good villain. He's like a fucking. I mean, he's like a snake almost. I mean, he's very calm.
Yeah,
he's very calm and cool. If he wants you to know he's angry, he'll do it like in a I don't know, I'm trying to think of the word here, but very like he'll say it without raising his voice,
Yeah, it's a very I want to say stern voice, but it's also very sly. Where he, especially like the scenes where he threatens Katniss, he's extremely calm.
Yeah.
In everything that he's telling her.
he has one little outburst with their initial conversation where was PETA where she was like, what point did the young boy find out you were indifferent to him? And she's like, I'm not indifferent. And he's like, don't lie. We agreed not to lie, Miss Everdeen. You know, he's did. Very he's
like, if I tell you not to do something, don't fucking do it.
Yeah,
it's pretty much what is implied there.
Yeah,
but she does a really good job of holding her own.
Yeah.
In every scene that she has to interact with him, like she is clearly terrified of him. That is made apparent throughout the film, the way that she speaks about the president. She's terrified of what he might do to her family, but she does a very good job of remaining calm when he's in front of her. And I think that's a strength that Katniss definitely has. She loses her composure a lot in this film. There's a lot that happens.
I mean, because she's
watching that old man die in District 11. Yeah. She kind of loses her shit, which I feel like anyone would in that scenario. But she is able to keep her cool in the most important situations throughout this film. Because, if she had an outburst towards President Snow, he would just kill her right then and there. I think that's very heavily implied throughout this film. The tension between them, the minute she steps out of line, she'll be eliminated.
Yeah, or at least her family will be taken out, because he does have to be careful about not turning her into a martyr.
That is true.
And which is one of the things where Plutarch is trying to tell him, it's where he's like, we know Plutarch, it turns out, he's one of the heads of the rebellion that's building.
Right.
But he's leaning in a way where he's like, no, don't kill her. That'll turn her into a martyr.
Right. You want he says you want to make the people believe that she's actually one of us.
Yeah.
So they really build up the rumors about PETA and Katniss. They build up the wedding that's gonna happen. They're suddenly engaged, they're gonna get married. And then the games happen, so they don't actually get married.
Yeah.
They say they do. I do enjoy that. They're like, we actually secretly got married.
They
do play their role.
Oh yeah, no, they
Katniss, do a good job.
They're veteran actors at this point, right? They know how to play it up, stuff like that. One quick thing I want to mention before, as one thing I know it's going to leave my mind. In the previous film, the Hunger Games arena, the dome, whatever you want to call it, was a forest, and that's something Katniss is familiar with. That's kind of we see her, there's forest around her district. She goes hunting all the time. That kind of environment was familiar to her. But this one, it's like a tropical jungle environment, which is
it's entirely different.
Which is adding more to the unfamiliarness that they're dealing with. They're not familiar with their new lives as victors. They're not familiar with having to fight against previous victors, and this unfamiliarness of how to navigate life. And I think that's part of the theme of, because this is once again a YA story of growing up and dealing with new challenges as you get older and you start to enter adulthood and all that stuff. That's kind of what I'm drawing from it.
Yeah.
Oh man. And I wanted to mention, is it Effie or Evie? Evie?
Effie.
Effie.
Effie. Effie Trinket.
I like Effie's change in this film, because in the first one she's mostly kind of partial comedic relief and partial the cookie cutter stereotypical citizen of the capital. And in this one, when it's revealed what the new Hunger Games are, we're bringing back old victors, you're gonna have to be tributes, we see her faith in the system shaken.
Right.
Because she's grown to actually care about PETA and Katniss, as difficult as they can be with her. They're kind of they're like a team. And knowing that...
Right, yeah, absolutely.
She got lucky enough where she got her whole team back, because both PETA and Katniss are both...
Yeah, she's really happy to spend time with them when she sees them in the beginning of the film. She's delighted to meet Katniss's sister. She's happy to be with them. So yeah, she's really grown to care about these kids. And I think that it's clear to her that the games happen directly to attack these people that she cares about.
Yeah.
Like that's why it happens, because you know, Snow says that Katniss's actions might give the other tributes an idea about being invincible, that they're not going to be punished within the law like any other citizen, like they're not special. So that's the whole point of this Hunger Games, is to show that the tributes are not special, and kind of take some wind out of their sails, if they had any, that would have been fueled by Katniss's actions, specifically Katniss and Peeta, in their defense of Gale.
Yeah, so just things get so I like that, how they can take a character like Effie and lift her up too. Good job by Elizabeth Banks playing the character.
Oh, absolutely. Really, really good acting. Yeah. Another actress that, oftentimes we see her in comedies, but she does very well in this film, in this character that becomes more of a serious character. It's good character development, and she did a really good job with the emotions that Effie goes through out this movie.
Yeah, no, it's good stuff. And we'll give a shout out too, because even though he plays he basically plays the same roles, he's the same role, same he serves the same purpose basically in the last movie. I want to give a shout out to Woody Harrelson, good actor, playing him. I mean, he's basically doing the same thing, explain to them what their life is now, what's what, he's preparing the best he can.
Yeah, but he does a really good job as Haymitch.
Yeah, no, he's good. Woody Harrelson. Anyway, I'm trying to think of what to talk about next, because we've covered so much. Is there anything you want to bring up? This is a part I feel like we've talked about.
I feel like we've talked about everything. I feel like we talked about everything crucial. In the end of the games, as we touched on earlier, it turns out that Philip Seymour Hoffman's character is like the head of the rebellion, or playing a big role in the rebellion. It ends up saving Katniss, but Peeta gets captured, and there's kind of a cliffhanger for this film leading into the next one of how do you progress, because you've kind of lifted the lid on a lot of things here, and a lot of things have been revealed to the people. So it'll be interesting to see what takes place in the next film, and how this builds, and does it resolve, and how does it resolve.
No, the next film, of course, is the Mockingjay two-parter, as this was a thing going on, back then, where it's like you take the final book and you break it up into two movies so we can make more money.
Yes.
And as I already got the two right here, Mockingjay Part 1, Mockingjay Part 2. And I mean, it's so and the funny thing is, I kind of remember the least about the two Mockingjays. Like I remembered a lot about the first one. I remembered a lot about this one, and I think I saw this one when it came out.
Okay, yeah, I think that's what
I only remember so much about Mockingjay 1 and 2.
Like little bits and pieces.
Little bits. I remember a few like major points. But honestly, there's so much about Mockingjay Part 1 I'm blanking on right here, because I don't think I could.
Well, time to refresh our memories.
Yeah. All right. So ladies and gentlemen, we'll be hitting Mockingjay Part 1 next week, so keep an eye out for that. Hope you enjoyed this episode of POVincent podcast. If you did, please let us know by following and subscribing. We got social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can listen to us on multiple platforms: Libsyn, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and you can watch us on YouTube. And if you'd like to support the show, we got the Patreon, patreon.com/POVincent. If you can't do that, hey, just likes and subscribes and all that stuff will help out just fine. And of course, I'd like to thank the River's Edge Online Radio Network for hosting this podcast. Jay, of course, I'd like to thank you for being my co-host.
Absolutely.
And once again, to everyone listening or watching, thank you for viewing things from our point of view. Take it easy.
Yeah.